Hello and welcome to Getting into the Games Industry. I'm Colin McDonald and I've worked in the games industry for about 30 years now, from self-publishing on home computers to being producer on the early Grand Theft Auto games to being games commissioner at Channel 4 television and now running Games Jobs Live, online recruitment events for the games industry. Sorry, just fixing a bit of feedback. Today's event is going to be a little bit different, however. Although I know we've got a huge range of people watching, the core focus is on people who are leaving school or have recently left school in the last couple of years and who are considering a future career in the games industry. It's a global industry worth $159 billion, with 2.7 billion people globally playing video games. And in a year where literally thousands of industries have been decimated, the games industry has gone from strength to strength. And that's not always reported. More commonly, we see negative stories about games. Some fairly, some unfairly. But only yesterday, BBC News was reporting a University of Oxford study saying that video games can be good for your well-being. The excellence that goes into modern games is also commonly overlooked. The UK in particular is a real powerhouse in both technical expertise and creative vision. We've made or been involved with some of the biggest games on the planet: Football Manager, Sea of Thieves, Worms, Forza, RuneScape, Tomb Raider, Lemmings, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto. These are not small games. These games, and countless more made here in the UK, have been loved by hundreds of millions of people spread across the globe. And today, I'm hoping that with you, we have the next generation of games developers watching and taking part. We have some of the best and the brightest of the current generation in the industry to chat to you about what it's like to work for them and how to get jobs with their studios. We have so many, in fact, that they each only have 5 minutes, but afterwards I can put a couple of questions to them. So put your questions into the YouTube chat if you'd like anything asked. We're also lucky enough to be hearing from 3 of the best universities and colleges in the country for games courses: Abertay University, Escape Studios, and Wrexham Glyndwr University, who are each available to chat directly with in the Discord right now. Each institution has dedicated channels in the Discord, and they're staffed now for about 2 hours until 6:30 p.m. So get on to ask whatever you'd like to know about studying with them. You want to go in a browser to discord.gamesjobs.live. And I'll just bring that up to scroll along the bottom of the screen throughout this entire feed. Go to discord.gamesjobs.live. You'll find everyone that's working for the universities and college highlighted in a yellow role. However, please don't give anyone, whether they look like they're working with one of the institutions or not, anyone any personal details. You should be the one asking the questions. If you've registered on the Eventbrite, you'll receive details from all the colleges and universities so you can follow up with them in more detail after today. If you've not registered yet, I'd recommend you do. Go to careers.gamesjobs.live so that you receive all those details at the end of the live stream. That's careers.gamesjobs.live. For everyone watching this live, you'll get the most out of this because you can chat to the universities and colleges in the Discord right now. But this stream will also be available to watch on catch up at this same YouTube link. So please forward it on to anyone else that you think will benefit from it. If you're enjoying this, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. I'd just like to say thanks to all the organisations, the game developers and the universities and colleges for taking part in today. We've got a great event, we've got a lot of people watching, and I'm hoping we're going to see the next generation of talent come into the games industry as a result of it. So without further ado, let's crack on. Up first, we have an American company, but one with offices dotted around the UK. They've created Gears of War, the widely used Unreal Engine, and a little game called Fortnite. So please let me bring in Mark from Epic.
Hello there. I've just started my timer. So it is a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Mark Flanagan. I'm the Education Partner Manager from Epic Games, and I'm based out of the office in Guildford. As we just heard, yes, Epic are an American company, but we have offices globally. And we are responsible for some of the biggest games in the world, producing them ourselves, but also enabling other people to make games using our Unreal Engine technology. So a game engine is something which, if you're interested in developing games, you should start learning about, because you can download and start making games today with a game engine. How did I get here? How did I end up working for Epic Games? Well, I worked through a succession of careers, but my first job in the games industry was, again, in the UK, working for Codemasters, who are based in Warwickshire and are very famous for the Colin McRae Rally series of games. And it was an absolute pleasure working with them. They were one of the companies that were most receptive to taking in people from university and have always had a great reputation for that. And from there, I worked with teams that I had worked with in Codemasters. I moved to a company which some of my friends from there founded, which was called Freestyle Games. And then that company was actually sold by them to Activision. And I moved over to Australia. So this is, again, giving you an idea how global the industry is. I moved to Australia, to Melbourne, where I'd always wanted to live. And I started working in the games industry in Melbourne for a number of years, and then moved into education in games. Having done that for a while, I moved into teaching, and teaching led me to visual effects, and from visual effects back to the UK and back working with Epic. Some of the things I would say for people who have an interest in careers in games is that there are many careers in games, more than you might imagine. A lot of the times you'll hear there is an emphasis put on art skills, our programming skills, our game design skills. And yes, these are all hugely in demand. My best advice to you, though, is if you want to work in games and you have any skill which is useful in the world, whether it happens to be marketing, or if you have an interest in law, if you have an interest in accounting. Games industry is an industry, so everybody in the games industry have particular roles, and we have all the same roles that you'll have in any other company. But one of the things you'll find is that even the accountants and the lawyers and the marketing people, they all tend to have a passion for games. Your passion for games will shine through everything you do, and it's worth your while to look for those non-conventional careers as well, should we put it that way, the ones that people don't speak about too often. And another thing with game skills is that they're highly transferable today. Across many industries, you will see that the interactive abilities of games are being leveraged in things like architecture, in visual effects, and again, you'll see in the behind-the-scenes footage of The Mandalorian, where the Unreal Engine has been used, and the people who are doing that have skills which are easily transferable from games into visual effects. And I've worked across many of these fields: visual effects, architecture, some automotive training, animation, etc. So you'll find that your skills are transferable as well if you are interested in working in games. One final thing which I'll say to you is that do what you enjoy doing. Follow your passion. You'll find that the people that you work with are awesome because they're doing it as well, because they really want to do it. I have worked in other fields, and I would say, in all honesty, that in the games industry, I've worked with some of the cleverest and most interesting people. across the world, literally across the world. So I've circumnavigated the globe with my career in games. The best way to get started making games is to make games. Playing them is certainly going to help you to understand how they work, but you can download an engine and start making games today. You can start making games on tabletop, make those kind of card games or make dice-based games, play games. If you've done any Dungeons and Dragons type things, there is a basic an urge in people to actually make and play games, which a lot of people forget about when they grow up. But I think everybody in the games industry still has that. You'll find people playing games during lunchtime even. So that's my timer going off, and hopefully that's been useful to you. Shall I hang on here for a moment, or do you want to take it away?
No, absolutely. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Mark. We wanted to put a couple of questions to you.
Yep.
We've slightly underestimated the number of people that have tuned in and the number of comments that are coming up on the stream.
How many people?
I'm struggling. I think that we've got about 1,200 people watching live.
Don't panic.
And we're struggling to keep on top of the comments. Okay. So I was trying to pull out a couple of questions. But I mean, I certainly thought your advice about, just getting some experience, play games, just play around with things. What's your experience of participating in game jams and things like that?
It's something that I haven't actually taken part in myself. I've helped with some, but it's not something I've taken part in. I think it's because I'm a little bit long in the tooth. I'm a little bit old for it. I like to be asleep these days by 9 o'clock, after watching a couple of episodes of Emmerdale Farm. But yeah, game jams can be really, really useful for growing your skill set. One of the great things with games is the collaborative element of it. And even though you can produce games yourself, you'll find working with a group of people and a game jam can be really, really beneficial to you to grow and understand how different people approach the problems of making games. As I said, there's a lot of disciplines. There's art, programming, audio, design, all kinds of other disciplines, user interface, which all mesh together. And you will never be the best at doing all of them. But if you know a little bit of them all, then you can actually find the people who merge into a perfect game team. And then you can have great depth across all things, have a broad range of skills, and find the people who have a really great depth in, say, their animation skills or whatever else it happens to be. So game jams are great. I can't do late nights anymore. I'm too old.
We did a game jam, and it was over the course of a week. So it
That's a good idea.
People didn't have to pull all-nighters to get it done. But yeah, I mean, I would certainly echo that. The more experience, the better, I think. So
yep.
I absolutely. Okay, that's been fantastic. Any closing thoughts, Mark? Just
get out there and make games and enjoy yourself. It is supposed to be fun. Yes, it can be lucrative as well, but it should be fun because you spend a lot of your life at work. So make sure it's something that you enjoy doing.
Very good advice. Great, yep. Mark. Thank you so much for joining us.
Been a pleasure. And good luck to everybody.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Great stuff. What a company to kick us off with. We've got some of the developers behind literally some of the biggest games on the planet right now. We're incredibly fortunate. Do get on the Discord if you've not already. You want to go to discord.gamesjobs.live, chat with the different institutions that can help you get into the industry. And still to come, we've got a whole bunch of amazing companies. We've got TT Games, we've got Ubisoft, we've got Mediatonic, we've got 4J, as well as hearing from all the universities. However, next we have another very special company. This is a French company. It has, I think, about 18,000 staff spread over 40 or 50 offices around the planet, including several in the UK. They develop and publish global AAA hits like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and the recently released Watch Dogs Legion. So please let me introduce Nikki from Ubisoft.
Hello.
Nikki,
hello.
hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for joining us.
That's all right.
Great. I will just hand over to you.
That's lovely. I'll get you to share my slides as well if you can. They should be down there. Perfect. Okay. So hello, everybody. My name is Nikki. I'm a senior gameplay programmer at Ubisoft Reflections, which is a Ubisoft studio which is located up in Newcastle upon Tyne. We also have a studio in Leamington as well. So you may be able to tell that I'm not from Newcastle. I'm not even from the UK. I'm Australian. I'm originally from Adelaide, and I only have 5 minutes. So I'm going to try my best to condense this talk about how I got from Adelaide to Ubisoft into some key takeaways for you. So this is what my education looked like. When I was choosing what to do at university, there were no games courses available, and there was very little opportunity to work in the games industry from Adelaide. So I really wanted to ask myself, Nikki, what is your dream? My dream was to work in games, but that is a very big, overwhelming thing to think. So within that, my dream was to become a programmer. And so my first takeaway is really get to the heart of what your dream is. What do you want to do within games? Because working in games felt really, really far off. I settled on this Bachelor of Computer Science. I didn't know whether this course would lead me to the games industry when I started it, but I knew that it would lead me to becoming a programmer, and that's what was important to me. So what did my course contain? This is not a games degree. But within my course, I had some scope to choose what I studied. So I chose the most gamesy things I could choose. I studied AI, networking, machine learning, computer graphics, event-driven computing. I tried to shove as many games-related things into my course as I could. And that's my second takeaway, is really jump on the opportunities to make your study, make your life about making games. It's exactly what Mark just said. The best way to get into the games industry is to make games. And then I did an honours thesis and I made that about games. I combined my two passions, one of which I discovered was testing while I was at university. And I looked at that through the lens of role-playing games. And my lecturers were more than happy to support me in that. They understand just as well as you do that that games are your passion if you're in this programming course. So definitely just jump on opportunities to make your degree and your experience what you want. Don't just be fed what people are giving you. If you want to work in games, make your studies about games. So where did this get me? This didn't get me into the games industry, not straight away. I'm not going to lie about that. But this course opened doors that I couldn't have dreamed of if I'd narrowed my focus only into games. So again, make the most of opportunities. I never lost sight of my goal. My goal was still to work in games, but I broadened my search into games adjacent jobs. So my first job was in VFX at a company that had an Oscar in its office, which was mind-blowing to 19-year-old Nikki in Adelaide. Most recently, I worked in mining simulation, which again is games adjacent. It was kind of like making a video game, but about learning how to drive mining equipment. And when I worked there, I was responsible for the vehicle AI. And that has helped me. Now I'm at Ubisoft working on gameplay AI. So although I never lost sight of my dream, I applied for companies that were games-like. So my third advice is keep trying and don't discount experiences you may not think are useful. If you don't get into a games course, it's okay. If your first job isn't in games or even games-related, it's okay. I've had a cool career, but I also spent a bunch of time programming the Swedish equivalent of Oyster cards or pop cards. And I still work at Ubisoft. So my last point would be, it took me 10 years to get here, mainly because I wasn't brave enough to apply, not necessarily because I didn't have the skills. And when I did start applying for jobs, 9 out of the 10 companies I applied for rejected me, and the 10th one was Ubisoft. So my last advice is be brave. Be braver than me and you'll get here sooner than I did. Apply for the jobs and then let the company decide if you are qualified. The job that I have now, I looked at the job ad and I was like, there's no way that I'm qualified for this. But then Ubisoft relocated myself and my dog from Australia all the way to Newcastle to work on video game AI. So be brave and dream big and you'll be able to do it. So thank you. I hope that was useful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant advice. Thank you so much, Nikki. We're looking for questions from everyone, so do put them in. One that jumps out, we've got Nappy Ninja asking, is there a specific game that clicked with you and inspired you to get into the games industry?
That is a big question. So many. So 3 that I will mention very, very quickly. One was a game called Warbots, which was a DOS game that my dad taught me, and it taught you how to code. So I was programming in this video game when I was 8, and my mind was blown. And then the other 2 games were BioShock and Assassin's Creed 2. And Assassin's Creed 2 is a big reason why I'm here. I've got my Ezio poster behind me. It's there. There we go. I don't know if you can see it. There we go.
Perfect. Yes, very, very on brand. I didn't know the DOS game, but BioShock. Yeah, I mean, what a landmark in games.
And it came out when I was 18, so it was like formative year. Yeah.
There was a question about programming languages that you recommend. Here we go. See if I can just bring this up. Yeah, what programming languages would you recommend people to learn?
Absolutely. So it really depends what you want to do. If you want to work in AAA, C++ is a fantastic language to learn. It's what most people are going to be using. Unreal uses C++. If you are going to be working Unity, obviously there's C#. But my main advice is just to learn a language, because I can program about 10 or 12 languages now. And I learned C++ entirely on the job about 9 years ago. I didn't learn it at university. At university, we did Java. So I learned C++ entirely on the job. So my advice is learn a language, learn an object-oriented language, learn a functional language, learn the core concepts, and the skills will transfer.
Absolutely good advice. There's so many questions. I'm struggling to choose from them. Let's have, there's an interesting question there about game engines in terms of what Ubisoft use.
We use entirely in-house engines. So our engines are built and maintained by our teams, and we have about 5 different ones that we use. So you can have a look at the opening screens of some of our games. It'll tell you what game engine it's built in. So if you launch up Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you'll see a big screen that says Anvil, and that's the engine that was built in.
Great, good to know. And then a personal question. What's the favourite game that you've worked on?
I can't tell you. It's a secret.
Oh.
It's a secret. It's an unannounced game, and so I can't tell you.
Great, but that sounds, given what you've worked on, that bodes well. So we'll look forward to hearing more about that. I think we're probably out of time.
Yes.
Nikki, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated that.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you both for joining us, I should say.
Oh, he's here too. This is Growlith.
Great. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Great stuff. Lots of great advice there from Nikki at Ubisoft. We've got loads of people in the Discord, too many almost, but do jump on. Each of the colleges and universities that we'll be hearing from have dedicated channels. Get onto those channels. They're a little bit quieter and they're focused on letting you ask questions that you're curious about potentially studying with each of those places. So on that note, we have the first of our universities based just over the Welsh border in Wrexham, which I think shot to fame yesterday for having their football club bought by Hollywood actors. I'm delighted to have Rich from Wrexham Glyndwr University join us. Rich.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Great to be here.
Great. I'll just hand over to you.
Oh, great stuff. So, I'm Rich Ahmad from Wrexham Glyndwr University, and I think the best thing to do is to maybe kick off with a quick trailer that gives you an idea of some of the work that our students produce. So maybe let's roll with that and then start from there. What do you think? So that was a quick example of some of the work that our students produce. So like I said, I'm from Wrexham, Glyndwr University. We're just over the Welsh border in a town called Wrexham, as Colin was just mentioning. Now, many people may not be too aware of where we are or heard of us before, but we're actually an award-winning university and have been nominated for more than 15 different UK national awards in the last few years, winning quite a number of them. I thought I'd start by just showing exactly where we are. So we're just over the border, as we just sort of said, and as Colin kind of trumped me on, we shot to fame very recently by our local football team, whose stadium and grounds we actually own. It's part of our university campus, was bought by certain people, and famous for Deadpool, as you can see there, so that's great. So you may not also know that we are also the UK Global Game Jam headquarters. So if you've not heard of Global Game Jam before, and Mark and Colin were talking about it, alluded to game jams just in one of the previous sessions, jams are a great way of getting involved. And I'm actually the regional manager for all of the UK and Ireland with respect to Global Game Jam. So anyone who is applying to become hubs in that sense are actually coordinated by myself. And they're a hugely important part of the student experience, getting to work in jams and work on small prototypes to a short time scale. I can't speak highly enough about getting involved in different types of jams, whether it's Global Game Jam or any other type of jam of that nature. So in our university, we specialize in actually the full range of game development activities. So we have everything from master's degrees right the way down to level 3 and preparation courses. So the 3 main undergraduate programs that we have that are really important to us are computer game development, which is our oldest program, which has been going for around 16 years. So we have a huge number of graduates out there in the industry now. That is our most technical course, which is where we do all of our maths and programming and things like that. We have another course called Game Design and Enterprise, which is basically more focused on the entrepreneurial aspect. So getting people to understand the business of the games industry, how to create a studio and manage one alongside technical development skills. And of course, we also have a BA in game art, which, as you'd expect, focuses on the entire workflow and conceptualization process to do with game art and characters. So with respect to games, so programming and that kind of thing, one of the things we work on is C++, Java, Python are languages of choice for us. C++ is hugely important. And as we were just hearing from previously, the Unreal Engine is a hugely useful tool. And we do a huge amount of back-end work with that engine, working in C++ and various different technologies. But we also do a lot of things with mobile application development and multiplayer and distributed systems. So we spend a lot of time working with teams and teaching them how to do WAN-based technology, which in the current climate, when we can't get our friends to play on the couch next to us, being able to understand how to make your game work across the internet with proper lobbies and multiplayer systems is something really important and useful to us right now. So it's great. So we focus a lot on environmental design, as you can see. We do a lot of things with exterior design. We look at the aspects of that using different types of tools and technologies. We even do drone scanning and photogrammetry technology, so we can scan real-world items and place those into our maps. We do interior environments, looking at ideas to do with different lighting, placement of objects, and so on and so forth. Character design is also an important thing to us because we focus on conceptualization, all of the rigging, geometry, and all of the different aspects of the character workflow. We even do motion capture, and we have a full motion capture suite, so we can help you to understand how to actually capture all those movements, get it encoded, and test it out in a game engine. One of the things that's really, really important in the way that we do things is actually this idea of teaching people to be a little bit more proactive when it comes to your way of thinking before you leave. And as we've heard already, experience with working in games is something hugely important. And to that end, what we have is something called an accelerator year. And the idea of that is to get you to start thinking long before you leave your studies about what it is you're going to do when you leave. So the idea is basically to start thinking right at the beginning of that time, like, what can I be doing with myself that's actually going to help me get a job in the industry and in the type of job that I want, whether it's going to be a programmer or a game artist or a designer or any of those different types of fields. So one of the things we do is we have this accelerator year, which basically uses our projects, combines with business school and various other different people from different disciplines, and we actually create real games companies. So we spend the final year of our program actually helping students to create their own real life game studios. And you may have heard of something called the Transfuser program, which is a grassroots development program, which is UK government funded. So the idea is not only can you start your game studio, but you can actually get government funding to help support that. And that's something that's hugely important to us. And to that end, at our university, we actually founded a program called Game Talent Wales, which runs last year. And I am the program director for that. So what we do is we basically, every year, we fund Welsh games studios. Now, the great thing is you don't have to be a Welsh national to take part in something like this. You just have to have a game studio that is based in Wales, a real life company. And then what we do is we give you funding and mentoring. We actually partner you up with some of the country's biggest game studios. So you actually get one-to-one mentoring sessions and things like that and help you to build your studio. And the really important thing is, as part of this journey, you get to launch your first game product and take it to a national show like EGX. So you can see from some of the examples, EGX is one of the biggest game trade shows in the world. It's huge. Pre-COVID, I would say. So basically, we get to take your game there and your company, and you get to be involved in the event as an actual tradesperson, as a member of the industry, and you get to launch your first title. And that's something hugely important, because when you're looking for jobs, one of the things you need to be able to do is to demonstrate a portfolio. And if you've got a released title on that portfolio, that automatically helps you to catch the eye of potential employers, because it's hugely important to your experience and your skill set and what you bring. So in terms of where our students work, so some great examples, we've got a huge number of students who work at TT Games, and we'll probably hear from those guys later. We've got students at Rockstar, Rebellion, Ubisoft Reflections, specifically, Sega Heartlight, Team 17, Sony, Nintendo. We've got students at some of the world's biggest studios, and of course they've accumulated over time, over many different years. So my advice to you guys would be, in terms of the way you're thinking about what you're doing, is that when you're applying for a course, you need to be doing one of three things. So the first thing you want to be doing is understanding your portfolio and understanding how to present a portfolio and how to structure one. Now, clearly, the type of course, the vocation that you're interested in, is going to have an effect on the kind of portfolio you want. But suffice to say, you're probably looking for something like 3 to 5 good quality finished pieces. I would always go for less in terms of the number of pieces, but higher in quality. So don't worry about trying to cram 50,000 things in there. We just need to see a small number of finished things. Whether that's a game or if it's an AI example or some coding that you've done, but a finished project, not something that's kind of half broken or anything like that. What you also want to be thinking about is looking to places that have good amounts of industry engagement. And one of the things that we specialize in is this rule of engagement when it comes to our course partners. We have a huge number of industry course partners, and we have the rule of meaningful engagement. And that basically means that you're not allowed to be a partner with us as a university unless you commit to actually coming and delivering content, whether that's online like this in the current situation that we're in, or that's visiting campuses, speaking to our students, helping review their work, review portfolios, and a whole host of other things. So industry engagement is something hugely important to us, and that's one of the things you want to be looking for whenever you apply for any kind of academic course anywhere, basically. Another thing you want to do is basically don't be afraid to ask to see the structure of any course that you ever apply for. You want to see which modules are in there. You want to be able to kind of understand, is the actual content away from the title of the course, is the content that's in there and what's going to be taught, is it relevant to me, and do I feel as though this is something I'm really going to be motivated and interesting to stick with for 3 years? And never be afraid to sort of say, hey, can you show me all the modules and tell me about the individual modules and stuff? And a lot of people sometimes when they're applying for courses, they feel afraid to do things like that, and you should never be afraid to ask the dirty questions and get really involved, because it's a big commitment when you're applying to university or any kind of academic course. It's a big commitment of your time and your finances, so you want to be sure that what you're doing is right for you and that you feel as though it's a place that you can really get involved with. So when you're looking for a job or you're thinking about entering the industry, my quick advice to that would be, well, be super proactive and perfect your portfolio for sure. We've just talked about your portfolio, and the same rules would apply for that for sure. Visit industry events. That's something hugely important to us. You're here now, right? You're engaging with different events. So that is a really good start, and more of that. The more events you can attend, the greater range of people that you can speak to with experience, the better it's going to be for you. And you can learn so much from hearing anecdotes and getting advice straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So it's really important. And don't be afraid to network. So, reach out to people, get involved, speak to people as much as you can, and never be afraid to kind of just make that decision to message somebody, send an email, get involved, register at the event, and make that commitment and make the time to do it. And you'll reap the benefits longer term in the end. So that's a really quick overview of what we do at our university and how things work. Hopefully that's gives you a little bit of an overview. And does anyone have any kind of questions?
That was great. Thank you so much, Rich.
No problem.
Yeah, we're overwhelmed with comments and questions. I'm still going to pick some out. I see someone asking, at what age are they too old to learn to code?
Never. Never too young, never too. I wrote my first game in the language of BASIC on an Amstrad CPC 464 in like 1990 or something like that. And you're never too old. I think it's really about your commitment and your interest. If you're motivated and you have the time to be able to commit and get involved, then I would never put an age range on it.
Okay, and people interested in applying, I see someone there. Do they apply through UCAS?
No, with master's programs, you can apply direct to us. And if you follow that link, you'll see an apply now button on that course page, and it will give you full instructions of how to do so straight away. You don't need to do UCAS applications for postgrad programs.
Okay, great. That's been fantastic. You're in the Discord with a bunch of your colleagues?
Yes, I am. I certainly am. There's a whole bunch of our team, some students, a great range of staff members as well. You can ask questions on pretty much anything you can think of, basically.
Great stuff. Okay, Rich, thank you so much for getting involved today. Thank you for
No
coming
problem.
on. And
great to be here.
Great advice. Great.
Great
Cheers.
to be here. Thanks, Colin. Cheers.
Okay, so do jump onto the Discord. It's scrolling along the bottom of the screen. If you're not already on, discord.gamesjobs.live. The general channel has filled up with all sorts of stuff, some good, some nonsense. But do jump on to the WGU channels, that's Wrexham Glyndwr University channels, and ask Rich and his colleagues anything about the university and their courses, and the other universities and colleges are on there as well. We've still got a whole bunch of companies coming up, as well as the other colleges and universities. But next up, this company is a prime example of a stratospheric success, headquartered in London, but now with multiple offices around the UK and overseas. Their most recent game, Fall Guys, was an overnight sensation when it launched just 3 months ago. So I'm delighted to bring on Kat from Mediatonic. Hi, Kat.
Hello.
Great. I'll just hand over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Following with any flashy slides, I come here to offer advice and do what I hopefully do best. So as Colin kindly introduced, I'm Kat. I'm the Director of Talent over at Mediatonic. I've worked in the video games industry, recruiting from junior graduate level right the way through to exec level for over 15 years now. Working at Mediatonic, who, yes, we've had huge success with Fall Guys this year, but 15 years going as a studio, and we continue to grow. Advice on how to get a job in games. Some may say it's $1 million question. However, following some valuable advice that myself and many others will today give yourself, you can genuinely set yourself up for success. Firstly, as cheesy as this sounds, I hate the saying, but knowledge is power. Be inquisitive, be nosy, do your research on the industry, onto companies, onto products, technology, people. It will pay off to be inquisitive. Ask questions and more questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Make a decision early on. Some of you may already have, some of you may be at the beginning. But video games has a multitude of different jobs, be it making the games, marketing them, or even supporting from a business and operations point of view. If you want to make games, are you more artistic? Are you technical, methodical? You want to work as an artist or animator? This could be a programmer or engineer, perhaps a game designer or producer. Or do you love numbers? Why not think about being a data scientist or analyst? Want to work in the industry but making games like myself isn't your bag? Don't feel it's an area that you have particular skills or passion for? Then think about other roles: marketing, HR, recruitment, IT, finance, business development, community. There's too many to actually list because I would generally run out of time. But what I'm trying to say is don't put yourself in a box. It's a huge industry. It's super attractive to work in. But find a role that suits you and then do the groundwork. Following your passions, mentioning earlier, there's so many different roles. Once you've found the area that you want to look into, research, lots of research into the roles, what you need to do those roles, what colleges and university courses will complement that and help you get there. Find out the skills that you're going to need. Find out what technology and systems are used in those roles. For example, as the last couple of people mentioned, different languages and engines, be it C++ and using Unreal, or be it C# and using Unity. Find out which courses have those, make use of those, and practice away from the classroom as well. Play games. I'm sure all of you would be happy to know that we encourage people to play as many games and draw from experiences of playing, not just making. Sign up for many betas. Get early access, sign up for game jams. Game jams are really, really useful because you not only get advice from mentors and professionals in the industry in many of them, but it just gives you that personal experience of building out an area of a game at least. Remember, just your standard college or university work isn't going to be enough. You need to stand out, so you need to gain experiences along the way. Being proactive. Use forums, discussion boards, post your work. If it's source code, if it's little mini games you've made yourself, your artwork or show reels, ask for feedback. You'll be amazed how many people in the industry love to support and encourage students along the way. Improving along the way by doing this puts you in good stead, rather than waiting for the end of your course for feedback, and by then it's too late. Build your own indie games if you can get access to the likes of the Unreal or Unity. Work collaboratively with your classmates. Build out your own games. Work experience, internship opportunities do come up. Many companies will work directly with universities. They'll work closely with your tutors and lecturers. So tap into those, find out as much as possible, but do it early on. Don't leave it to last minute. What programs are available for next year? What do you need? How can you demonstrate your experience and capabilities for your best chance of being successful in those applications? Again, don't leave them to the last minute. People are applying 6 months before or preparing their portfolios. There are many people leaving their education all at the same time. They're all going to be looking at the same jobs. You need to find your own way of standing out, which you can do by ensuring, first example, is your CV, your covering letter, and your portfolio are the best that they can be. First impressions do count. The average recruiter is said to, this isn't my team, this is the average recruiter, spend less than 10 seconds deciding if they want to know more about a candidate before reading. This isn't just for graduate level, this is for every CV that is reviewed. Make yourself stand out. Be open-minded in how you get into the games industry. Not everybody is going to come out of a course, be it an art course or a programming course or a design course, and walk straight into their dream job. So perhaps think about entering via the likes of QA. This can lead to a development further along the line whilst learning on the job. Along the way, events and conferences. I think, there's so many worldwide, but in the UK, for example, EGX was just mentioned. It's an amazing conference to go to if you're a gamer anyway, but if you can get a pass to go see some of the talks, and Develop in Brighton, just two super valuable events. Now, COVID being, many of them are online, but do research, sign up. Knowledge is power. Sign up for as many as possible where you can meet with people, network, ask questions, try and get mentors, recommendations, get involved and show your passion, because it's often a shared passion. Before applying for any role, you do need to do research into the company. Are you right for them? Are they right for you? Show your application that you have done your research. It could be as simple as mentioning that you've played their game, what your favorite level was. Perhaps you can reference somebody you know that works there. Just show a connection and that you've researched. It's not just a blanket email. Away from game development, for those that don't want to make games, it's a little bit harder to show your skills. So read the job descriptions. What are the requirements that are needed? What competencies are associated with them? And do you have them? Can you demonstrate them? If so, build this out in your CV and covering letter. I could go on and on, but I've got 5 minutes. So hopefully these are great starting points, and I'm sure that the panel of people talking today will give you invaluable advice. Good luck to everyone.
Great, thank you so much. That was chock full of advice, Kat. That's great, thank you. This stream will be available to catch up, so if anyone wants to re-review that and take notes, you can just watch it again. Again, a ton of questions coming through. How did you get into the games industry?
So I actually worked in recruitment outside the games industry. I love talking to people and relationship building. And I got into it by a happy accident, really, into external recruitment via an agency, placing different developers. And then I quickly realized that I wanted to be in a games company. Just built those relationships, proved my worth, and came in that route. So it was an external over to internal.
Great.
And again, that's options available for people. Many games development companies use outsourced companies and external agencies for support roles.
Great. A sensitive question, perhaps. It's going to be difficult to give an exact answer. People are asking about salaries in the games industry, and obviously that's going to vary from company, part of the country, by role. Yeah. What would you say is the range? What could someone expect to come in on? I'd say on average, and we're talking, I don't want to go into kind of north, south, east, west divides or anything like that, but I would probably say as a graduate, you're kind of looking at the 21 to 25 at the lower end if you're kind of coming in into QA or basic graduate level. From a junior point of view, if you've got some good demonstrable experience, you're probably talking a 25 to 27 mark to start with, but not forgetting, right? You can get programmers now with 5-6 years experience that are on 60,000-70,000 pounds. If they're good at what they do and they can show value, you can quickly escalate within video games. Great, some nice numbers to work towards. Great. Kat, thank you so much for taking time out your busy day to join us. That's really appreciated.
More than welcome.
Great. Thanks again. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Great. That was Kat from Mediatonic. We've still got a whole bunch of great companies to hear from. We'll be hearing from TT Games just now. We'll be hearing from 4G Studios, as well as some of the other colleges and universities. So next up is TT Games, who were founded in the late 80s. They worked on countless treasured IPs such as Sonic the Hedgehog and Formula One. They're now part of Warner Brothers and produce countless amazing Lego games. Batman, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, I've lost count. So please save your questions up for Ruthie from TT Games, who I'll just play a video for just now.
Hi, I'm Ruthie. I'm a lead character rigger here at TT Games, and I'm here to tell you a bit about TT Games and about how to get into the games industry. Well, we're a UK-based games company that produce family-friendly AAA games. Collectively, the titles produced by TT Games has sold over 200 million copies worldwide, and we have received an impressive 5 BAFTA wins for the titles. Started off doing A-levels at school, and I didn't do particularly well, but it didn't deter me. So I looked around at different universities, and I initially was looking at media courses, and it was when I was looking at them I realised I was actually quite interested in the animation side of things. I ended up going to Teesside University. So whilst I was at university, I was doing a bit of work alongside it. And it was mostly just as a student ambassador, and doing that job gave me the contacts I needed in order to actually get a job that was more kind of related to industry work. So I ended up doing freelance work for a film called Arian's Ghost, and that kind of kick-started my career, I guess. And over the summer, I was due to start on another project with them, but I ended up getting a job at MPC as a film runner. I kept working really hard, and I would come home and I would continue working on my showreel. And I ended up getting a job at TT Games as a junior, and I gained a lot of experience. So as for my top tips, it's really important to be proactive. Make sure you volunteer for everything that comes up, and network. It can be really daunting, but at the end of the day, most of the people in the industry have been where you are now, and we are all very happy to talk to you and learn a bit about what you're doing and try and help you. Another top tip is just work hard. Practice really does make perfect. I remember thinking that I would never be able to script, that I wasn't clever enough, I wasn't smart enough. And now I make a living from my knowledge of scripting. One thing I would say is don't work too hard. So it's difficult to get that balance right, but it is important to have downtime as well. Being involved in some sort of hobby and taking time out of work, I solve problems. So actually taking time out also helps you. And it's important to recognise that, because if you do work too hard, then you can burn yourself out, and no one wants that, right? Another top tip is to keep going. Don't let yourself get disheartened if you don't get the first opportunity that comes your way. Keep going, keep applying for things, and you'll find that if you do keep at it and you work really hard, you will eventually get there. Just jump at every opportunity that pops up. I think one thing I've noticed with my peers is there are individuals who have had opportunities and they've not gone for them for one reason or another. And I honestly think that if they did take those opportunities, they would be in the industry. So I do think it is important. My last top tip, which is the most important of all, is to be kind. This industry is small. No matter where you go, you'll know someone who knows someone. And I think the kinder you are, the more likely, people are to want to work with you and to want to give you those opportunities. So it is really important to be kind. And the other thing is just to be kind to yourself. I think if you're kind to yourself, then you put yourself in a better position to be kind to others. None of us really know what we're doing. We're all just working through life together, and you will make mistakes. And it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay not to get that job. It's okay not to be where you pictured yourself to be. That's it for my top tips, really. I could go on for hours about this, but I won't. I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to find out more about TT Games, then you can go to our website at ttgames.com.
Oh, apologies, Ruthie. The video's cut out a little bit early. Sorry for that, but I think you got everything across. That was a fantastic video. Thank you so much for preparing that. Just for the avoidance of doubt, you're now live to take some questions. Great, thanks for joining us. Various questions coming through. Your point about taking advantage of opportunities, I think, is a really good one. And I see people asking, how do they do that? Do they do that through Twitter? Do they get to know people? What sorts of things do you think? How do people create opportunities for themselves?
I think one of the key things is LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great place to connect with people. It's a essentially professional business social media. So there's loads of people in the industry that are on LinkedIn. The only thing is, don't just send out friend requests. So I get a lot of people just sending me random friend requests. Make sure you send a message with a friend request. If you want to connect with someone, it's important to say what you're wanting to connect for, like why you're wanting to connect, and you can message people through that. Also for me, the areas where I got a lot of opportunities was when I was at university, and I just volunteered for a lot of different things. Like Teesside University has a festival called Animex, and I would volunteer for helping out with that. I was also student representative and student ambassador, just volunteered for a lot of things, and applied for a lot of things as well. It's important to apply for a lot of jobs and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know one of my own the sayings that I believe in most is the harder you work, the luckier you get, and you do make your own opportunities.
Yeah.
It's usually not how it doesn't pan out how you intend, but something usually comes out of hard work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, great. I see various people asking about getting into QA and writing in the industry. Those are two quite in-demand jobs.
QA is a great way of getting into the industry. It is an entry-level position, and you get to play games for a living, so there's nothing bad about that. But yeah, so I mean, for me, obviously, I went to uni, and then it was from there that I kind of I ended up kind of doing the film runner position, which is kind of like a visual effects equivalent of QA almost. It's that level, and so it is a good way of getting into the industry. And I mean, I think we've even got some positions open right now. In fact, we're looking for, I believe, a lead QA tester right now. But leads, you might need a bit more experience with a lead position, but still, there's constantly QA positions out there.
And then, I mean, obviously, a lot of the TT games are linked to IPs. How important is it to know the IP well, or to be a fan of it?
Very important. Yeah. I think it is really important. I think knowing who you're, working for is really, really important. Knowing what they want out of the game is really important, because you can predict, certain things that aren't going to go down so well, or certain things that they will love for us to do. So it really impacts what you actually put in the game, and how you do your job, really. Yeah.
Okay, great. Fantastic advice, and lovely video. Thank you for both the video and for joining us live. That's been much appreciated.
No worries.
Great. Thanks, Ruthie. Bye for now.
Bye.
Great. What a great bunch of speakers we've got. Okay, still to come. We've got 4G Studios. We've got my friend Shahid, and coming up now from London, where their courses specialise in visual effect, game art, and animation. Let me bring on Saint from Escape Studios. Hey, Saint.
Hi, folks. Hi. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Colin. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to whisk through my PowerPoint as everybody can see it, hopefully. Thank you. Great. So, yes, as Colin said, we're a specialist university. We are a university. We do degree courses. And I'm going to be talking about our games art course right now. So, first of all, let's start off with some advice. If you're thinking of studying games, one thing I think I'd ask is to look in your heart and say, just because you're good at playing games, would you be good at making them? Now, I like eating, but it doesn't make me a great chef, and I could never be a good chef. So it's the same with games. So if you're thinking about games, try and think whether you're actually going to be good at making them. As other people have said, there are many ways in, and look at your own strengths. You can get in via the technical routes, through code, through programming. If you're good at maths, if you're good at physics, if you like computer science, that's one way in. If you're good at art, if you're creative, if you can draw, if you can paint, that's another way in. If you're good at design, if you're good at sort of arranging things and making things through design, that's another way in. And as people have said before, production. So if you're good at organizing, if you're good at planning ahead, all those are different routes into the computer game space. But I'm going to be talking about us. And the other thing I'd like to say as well, games are really hard work. They can be very rewarding because of that, but you do need to study for a few years, and it is competitive. Everybody wants to study games, so make sure you're ambitious and make sure you're up for it. And you need to be a team player these days. if you can work well in teams, if you can show that, you're going to do really well in the games industry. The rewards are great working environments, great culture. Imagine mixing all the day with people who think, breathe games all the time. And you can see your work in amazing games. So let's just talk a bit about Escape, Escape Studios. We have a BA course in the art of video games, which can be also a master's course if you want to go that far. But we also do short courses as well in games. However, if you're thinking of getting into the industry, you'll need to do a degree. So our location, centre of London, we're in a kind of triangle between ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, who make Star Wars, you know, stone's throw away, British Museum, and Sony Computer Entertainment, PlayStation people, all of them within walking distance. So it's a really nice creative environment. We're also the only Unreal Engine authorised training centre in the UK at the moment, which means we teach industry how to use Unreal, but we also teach our students. So our tutors are really well knowledgeable, and you saw Mark from Epic earlier on talk about the Unreal Engine. So it's an amazing opportunity to be taught by our tutors. We're also in the Rookies top 10 or top 15 of computer games courses in the world. If you don't know the Rookies, there's the website. The Rookies really is an international community for digital arts and runs international awards. This is what Escape looks like, or did look like before the lockdown. It's a small community. VFX games and animation people mixed together. We're small and boutique-y. We look more like a studio than a university. This is us now because we're still teaching. Those people who want to come in socially distanced and learn from tutors can, but you can also do the course online. So amazing opportunity there. Tutors, all our tutors are ex-industry or still working with industry. The program leader worked at Jagex, EA, Rebellion, and we see that sort of link really important part of what we offer. Also, because we're a games art course, we believe students should look at the wider arts and get creative. So we have students are taught in the first year by a digital map painter who used to work at Digital Domain. They're taught cinematography and lighting by somebody who's worked on Game of Thrones, Doctor Who. They're taught movement and narrative by someone who worked at Framestore and was a character designer. We think that's really important that you get those art skills because if you want to be, you know, top of your game, you've got to get those art skills as well as the game skills. I'm going to be very brief here, but in the first year you get introduced to modeling, you get introduced to Maya, of course, and Unreal Engine, and you work on mobile projects. I just wanted to point out also that we're very sort of committed to the industry. We've had guests from Supermassive Games, Playground Games, a lot of people like that this term, who've come in, or at least at the moment online, and speak to students. And also in the second and third year, you'll always get assessed by people from the industry as well as tutors. It's something very special that we do there. A few shots of first year work. I'm going to whiz to the second year. So in the second year, you go into modularity. Mobile development continues, but you can also specialize a lot more. We introduce ZBrush, Substance Designer, and lots of other software as well. A couple of shots of second year work. Okay, I like that one. Bridget's work looks lovely. And then I'm going to whisk on to the third year. First of all, I'd just like to say we do projects, as I said, like project briefs like you would in industry. We did The Last of London, which is based on The Last of Us, where we sort of looked at sort of London and took raw footage and references and made game assets from what we found. And you can see some of the shots there. Year 3 is all about working like you're in a studio, and you get mentored by industry and you develop your portfolio and you have a final showcase. Just like to point out, do go to our website because you'll find out more about what we are as a community, and we see ourselves as very much a games community at Escape. So come and visit the website, ask us questions, get involved. We have open days and taster days and a game art fair coming up, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully that's given you a great background into what we do here at Escape. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for that, Saint. Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic place to get involved in. General question that's come through, if I just can bring it up. Tips for putting together a great concept art portfolio. What would you? I mean, you're a man that's been around a while. What would you recommend?
Yes, I'm ancient. Thank you for that, Colin. I won't talk about the last time I saw you. But anyway, here we go. Yes, I would say the first thing is, in order to stick out, don't just copy games genres and things that you've seen before. No more lightsabers or no more sort of things that you've seen in games that you really respect. Do something different so people can see how you'd adapt and how you'd face the challenge of doing actual concept art. Also, keep it simple. Try to communicate very simply through your concept art. Mood, gather mood boards together, get a sense of atmosphere. So I think the most important thing is don't copy other people's work, develop your own style, and also do concept of art of things that are new or unique. Previous guests have said about curiosity, and I think that's really important in games. You bring in other influences and create images that nobody's ever seen before, rather than just copying what you've played before in a game.
And then, I mean, we all embark on certain routes in our career, and things pan out differently. I mean, of the people that come into your courses expecting one thing, I mean, how often does it pan out? Do they end up getting more interested in an aspect or an industry they weren't expecting to? Where do people end up?
Yeah, the great thing is the first year you might decide, well, actually, you come into the first year and think, I really want to do games art. And then you go, well, actually, I prefer to do effects. You might even go into VFX, or you might go into animation roles. That's all possible with the flexibility of the course. And I think that's really important, that your creativity, don't expect to know what you're going to do in 5 years' time or 4 years' time or 3 years' time. Be open and choose a course where you can swivel or pivot depending on what you find out as you go. You'll get all the software skills, but the really important skills are the creative skills that you'll pick up from working in teams.
Great, no, good advice. Apologies if I missed you talking about this. I was too busy trying to read all the comments. But in terms of the hands-on experience, the people that study with you, I mean, you know, in terms of putting projects together, taking part in group projects, game jams, how much opportunity is there for that?
There's loads, and in fact, a lot of it comes from the students themselves. Because we're a small community, we can set up things really quickly. We're not got a huge overarching campus with lots of managerial input. We actually have student experience ambassadors who actually this term and last term set up games jams themselves, independent of the tutors, and the tutors can support that. And I think it's important that, you know, creative people have ideas and they should be able to carry them out rather than waiting for tutors to allow them to do that. And very much that's part of what we do. And, you know, we have evenings where people from games companies can come in. Like I said, people from games companies assess the students, and we see that as important. So we try to generate a whole games culture. It's very much like a studio rather than a university with sort of classrooms and standard architecture of what university looks like.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. That's been really insightful. There's a bunch of people from Escape in the Discord, I believe.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
If anyone's not already chatting to them, get on to discord.gamesjobs.live. It's scrolling along the bottom of the screen. That's discord.gamesjobs.live. And you're frantically trying to keep on top of questions.
Thank you very much. I'll go over there now.
Great. Just saying. Bye for now. Great. And if you've just dropped in and haven't already registered for this event, you might want to consider registering. At the end of this, there'll be an email goes out to everyone that's registered with more details from all the universities, as well as the chance to win a £50 Amazon voucher. So if you've not registered, go to careers.gamesjobs.live. That's careers.gamesjobs.live. Sign up and you'll get more information at the end of the live stream. Okay, next up, we have a studio that's local to me. I'm up in Scotland, based in both Dundee and Edinburgh, and responsible for the console versions of a little game called Minecraft. The company's chairman, who's speaking to us today, was recently recognised in the Queen's Honours. So please welcome Mr. Chris van der Kuyl, CBE.
Thanks for
Chris.
that, Colin. It's much appreciated. Embarrassing me live on stream is always good. Good to see you, Colin.
Absolutely. I'll hand over to you.
Thanks. And I've had a couple of connection issues, so just let me know if I break up. So you've heard from some amazing speakers this afternoon about the games industry and various ways of getting into it. I'm going to try not to repeat everything they've said. And I'm going to talk a little bit specifically about 4J Studios and the Minecraft journey and the kind of people that have been working with us, because it has been a bit different. We have, of course, coding roles in the same way that every other studio does, all the way from CTO, to games, to lead games developers, to graduate programmers, and we recruit all the time for those roles. We have art and animation teams in the same way as many others. But we also have an awful lot of level designers and level builders who pretty much spend their entire life in Minecraft professionally. And I saw a tweet the other day that tickled me because it was from somebody who's quite well known in the games industry. I'll not say who they are, and said, your Minecraft level has no place in your application for a game designer. I would disagree with that. In our studio, it's got every place. And in fact, one of the things that we've done over the years is taken some amazing talent from the Minecraft community and brought them into the games industry, by a different route. And there are opportunities that are non-standard these days, that are not like, just the traditional roles that people have trained for. They all still exist in some big studios. That's exactly what they'll look for. But in some of the more independent studios like ours, you can come from a slightly different background. And there's no fixed path. So we brought people in through the QA route, or through being amazing Minecraft level designers, and helped them then go to the right education institution to build their skills up, whether that be in art and design or coding, management, whatever it is. So it's really about having a passion. It's about having a passion for the thing you do. Colin said it earlier. The harder you work, the luckier you'll get, the better you'll get. Some people you might see around you who may initially look way more talented than you. As you work through and hone your skills, you'll find out that hard work pays off and you'll find a route in. Teamwork is incredibly important. People who really only work as individuals, pretty much useless for us. We need people that can come together in teams and contribute in a really kind of open way. So not being dominant in a conversation, giving people space to be creative and work with you. They're the kind of skills we're looking for all the time. Most of all, we try and create a really fun environment. We're still working on Minecraft. Some of you may have seen a big day for us today. We released last night Star Wars Minecraft, which is a huge collaboration for us, and we've been dreaming about doing that project for a long time. But we're also working on the next generation of 4J projects now, what's coming next. So there's never a dull day. The more you train, the more experience you get, the more original you are, the more you can show us in your portfolio that you can do things, the more chance you're likely to end up at a studio like ours. Final thing I'd like to say to you is, don't be put off with a lot of what you read in the press. Yes, there are still studios that crunch people, have pretty challenging working environments. 4J Studios, from the day we founded the business, we said, no, those kind of working environments don't make for great creative talent, make for great games. We want people to have a balance in their life. Of course, we work hard at times to get deadlines met and put games out the door. But in the main, we do not crunch as a studio. It's not in our culture. We've got a culture where we're far more collaborative, far more empowering to bring people in and set the right work environment for them. And right down the challenges that we're all facing from a lot of us working from home, that's really, really important. So I hope whatever choice you make in your career, if it's into games, I hope you have an incredible career. I've been in this industry for 25 years and it never feels like work. It's amazing, and it's a great chance to come and speak to you today. So good luck, and thank you, Colin, for the chance to speak to this group.
Great, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. You maybe can't see this because you're just talking to the camera, but it looks like we've enabled Minecraft pixelated view on you. We can hear you fine, but you just look quite pixelated. So
sorry.
But we can hear you fine, so that's been great. Your own story is fascinating. I wanted, obviously it's not one everyone's going to be able to follow, but just if you can somehow sum up in a nutshell what your journey into games was yourself?
Sure, yeah. I've been a geek since I was 9 years old, playing games, trying to program them, and then I saw your ex-colleagues, Colin, and you as well. You guys started to in Dundee. You built a company called DMA and Lemmings, and then ultimately onto GTA, etc. But in the era of Lemmings, I was just graduating as a computer scientist from university, and I was pretty determined to set my own company. Which I did. I just really as a programmer for hire, and brought a few of my mates together to do that. And as we saw you guys have success, we thought, well, they're a couple of years older than us, some of these guys, and they kind of look like us. They've done games and had them published all around the world. Well, why don't we do it too? So we got into games really at the time when PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 were coming along, just at the middle. Just at the middle of the 1990s. And that was when also 3D graphics in real time became a real thing in the games industry. And that felt for us like the right time to come in. So we started a company called VIS. We started to grow it. We got venture capital investment, which was pretty unheard of for a games company, certainly in Scotland in 1995, 96. Grew that to 4 or 5 studios across the UK in Dundee, Edinburgh, Glasgow, the Isle of Wight, London. Axis Animation were one of those studios that are a huge animation studio today in Glasgow. And ultimately, our biggest game in that studio was State of Emergency, which came after GTA 3 with Rockstar about 2002, which went worldwide #1. We had a bit of a disaster at the end of that company. We sold it to a company in America called BAM. Should have taken a hint from the name because they went BAM a few months later. And Paddy, my business partner and best friend since I was 11, and I sort of dusted ourselves down and set up 4J Studios now in 2005. And around 2010-ish, 2010, 2011, Microsoft introduced us to the wonderful guys up in Stockholm, Mojang. And what we realized we got on brilliantly with them. And also we realized that we could take the Minecraft phenomenon to console in a way that they couldn't, because it wasn't immediately obvious how it was going to happen, how it was going to work. And we did the Xbox 360 version first. Then from then on, in a tiny studio of less than 25 people really at the time, we did Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, Wii U and Switch, and then sustained that all the way through the Microsoft takeover of Mojang. And we've been a partner of Microsoft's now since over 5 years now. An unbelievable journey for us, and one that we're still delighted to be involved in.
Absolutely, yeah. What a story. Probably just time for one last question. Let's just have a quick look. Again, there's so many comments, but obviously you're experimenting with a couple of different things as well as still working on Minecraft. You've got some own IP stuff in development as well. I mean, what's your approach on, if you think of Minecraft as a franchise, what's your approach on franchise existing IP versus developing new IP?
Yeah, I mean, look, we started working Minecraft, as I said, around 2010, 11, and we're still working on it nearly 10 years later. Nobody would ever have predicted that in our studio. Actually, nobody probably would have predicted it at Mojang in Stockholm. It's become this world, and games in general are far more of this, an iterative process where the game never finishes. The game development never finishes, and that's a bit of a culture shock for studios, and it takes a bit of getting used to. Because many of us were used to, right, it's 2 years of incredible hard work, then we throw that one out the door and we're on to the new thing. Now we're never on the new thing. We're in there. So we freshen it up we get game jams going, we look at new ideas, and now we've got the freedom to actually spin some of those ideas up. And we'd be crazy to predict anything in the future could ever be as successful as the world's most successful game. So we're not doing that. But actually, we just enjoy having the freedom to explore different franchises, whether it's our IP or somebody else's. It's really about gameplay for us and making games that feel brilliant in the hand, are real interactive toys, and as much as the production quality is amazing around them, you just can't put them down because they're brilliant games. And that's something we try and recreate, whether it's in a mini game within Minecraft or a completely new IP.
Absolutely. Great. That's been really insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Chris.
Good. No problems. Apologies for the connection quality.
Not at all. We could hear you fine. Great. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers. Thanks. Cheers.
Great. So if you do want to rewatch any of that or re-listen, I should say, this stream will stay online. There was a ton of great advice there. Similarly with all our previous speakers as well. So do feel free to rewatch this at any point. If you're not already on, get onto the Discord and chat to everyone. We've got Escape Studios, we've got Wrexham Glyndwr University, and coming up after this, we're going to be hearing from Abertay University, so they're on as well. I know a ton of people have been chatting to them. If you're not already on, get onto discord.gamesjobs.live. But on that note, joining us now from my hometown of Dundee is Abertay University. Actually the first university in the world to start doing games courses over 20 years ago, I believe. So please let me bring in Rona from Abertay. Hey, Rona.
Hi there, Colin, and you're quite correct. Over 20 years ago, we started the MSc in Computer Games Technology. So unbelievable, eh? So my name's Rona. So hi, everyone, and I'm a student recruitment officer at Abertay University. But before I say anything more about Abertay, and I'll also introduce you to two of our students, please have a look at this fantastic show reel. Well, that was certainly an amazing show reel, all about Abertay, highlighting our teaching environments and quality, our student satisfaction being best for games, our graduate prospects in the gaming industry, and of course, examples of our amazing student work. Abertay is located in the city centre of Dundee on the east coast of Scotland. It's the hub of Scotland's booming games industry, which is home to 1/3 of the country's gaming companies. We're a small and friendly university with approximately 4,000 students. We're a modern industry-led university and take pride in the specialist courses that we offer. We have 4 gaming courses at Abertay, 2 which are focused on games programming, so they're called Computer Games Technology, or CGT, and also Computer Game Applications Development, so that's CGAD. So CGT has applied maths running all the way through it and has also procedural generation. With CGAD, the maths is still there, but it's not as deep as CGT. There's gameplay mechanics and games tool development as well. We have other 2 courses which are relating to design and art. So they are game design and production, and also computer arts. So GDP, this is developed for the creative and technically minded, teaching you game concept and asset creation, and game prototyping, production and leadership skills. With our computer arts degree, this course will equip you with the necessary practical, theoretical knowledge and creative tools you need to explore and build your digital arts and design practice. Now, we consider a lot of different qualifications at Abertay, for example, Scottish Highers, A-levels, BTECs, HNC. So please come and chat with us on Discord to discuss your options. And I now actually have Thomas. He's one of our gaming students at Abertay.
Hello, so yeah, I'm Thomas and I'm studying games design and production in my 4th year at Abertay University. We were taught a really wide range of skills from audio, production, design, art, and also programming. And I'd have to say my favorite thing about studying here will be the fantastic lecturers you'll get to meet. They all have amazing industry experience and have created a really friendly working environment where you'll be able to meet and work with all your classmates. And I'll be in the Discord, so if you've got any specific questions, just post it down there and I'll try and respond as quickly as possible. I'll pass you on to another student at Abertay, Claire.
Hi, I'm Claire and I'm a 4th year computer arts student here at Abertay. I've had a lot of opportunities at Abertay, such as taking part in Dare Academy and being part of EGX, which is a massive gaming exhibition held in London. I've also had the chance to work as a game design mentor and I've taken part in lots of student-led game jams and projects. I've made a lot of friends here at Abertay and a lot of connections as well, which have led me to some amazing work opportunities. I'll be available in the Discord if you've got any questions, and that's me for now, so I'll hand you back over to Rona.
Thank you very much, both of you, Thomas and Claire. That was excellent. Thank you. So they're actually 4th year students at Abertay. They're working on their projects, their final year projects at the moment. So thank you both. So myself, Louise, Claire and Ryan, he's our gaming lecturer, and also our 2 students. They're all on Discord at the moment. So please come and ask us any questions and we'll be more than happy to answer them about Abertay or also about our gaming courses in general. That'll be fantastic.
Great, thank you so much, Rona. Yeah, a lot of great advice, and what a trailer. I mean, great to see what everyone's done and where everyone's ended up. I mean, internationally, that's quite a big spread, isn't it?
Oh well, we go worldwide. Between EA, we go Ubisoft, we go off. There's a lot of different companies that Abertay students have gone into and maybe gone to the bottom level, but have all worked their way up to very high level posts. So it's all credit to them. They've done really well. And like you said right at the start, we began games over 20 years ago at Abertay. We first MSc in computer games technology, and we've just developed from there. So it's ideal place to study.
Yeah, the course at Abertay actually started the year after I graduated from Abertay, so it was designed just to miss me out. But I've survived anyway, you know. So
That's a shame.
it's given me the grounding at least.
Yes.
On the location side, I mean, where do the students come from? Is are people local? Are people coming from further afield?
Well, to be honest, they come from a variety of different regions. I cover, to be honest, my job is to cover the rest of UK. So they come from right at the London and South Coast in England, come from Northern Ireland, they come from Birmingham, Liverpool. They also very local as well, from Dundee and Dundee area, and also in Scotland. But we have actually quite a few from China. We have from the States, United States, Europe. So it's a lot of different nationalities, international students as well as homegrown students. So it's really good for them to interact with different types of people. Do you know what I mean? From different nationalities. It's great.
Yeah, and then the topic we've impressively managed to avoid touching on too much. It's been a bit of a break for the last hour and a half. A little pandemic that we're all dealing with. How's that impacting life at the university at the moment?
Well, me personally, I'm working from home, but our students, they are what we call a blended learning. So it means that they're sometimes in the university. They actually have to go in for maybe a few hours per week. And also they're studying at home as well. So it's a bit of a mixture. So it's called blended learning. So, but most of them find it okay. And to be honest, the academics are fantastic. I've got Ryan on Discord, and he's been brilliant for all his computer arts students and been very helpful with videos, and also easy access to our lecturers as well. They can email them and get help that way.
Okay, great. And there's a whole bunch of you on the Discord.
Oh yeah, it's been really busy. It's been chock-a-block. Hopefully we haven't missed anybody, but if we have missed people, apologies about that. But I believe there's an email that gets sent out after this live event, and we're more than welcome to answer any of those questions that we might have missed. Apologies, Bob. But and we'll answer them later on.
Absolutely not. From what I can see, you've done a great job. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us and supporting this event. It's been great to be able to put it on. So
great fun, Colin. Thanks again.
Great. Thanks, Rona. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, that was Abertay. We had hoped and planned to have Rocksteady chatting to us. Unfortunately, Sefton from Rocksteady has had a family issue, so he's not been able to join us at the last minute. I'm really sorry. He did join us for a charity event last month, so I'm sure we'll be able to rope him in for something else again in the future. And I'm stunned that we've managed to get through so many different speakers with relatively few technical issues. But this is the joy of live events, and this is the joy of doing something cutting edge, whether it's games or live events. Stuff will go wrong. It's about how you deal with it, and it's about getting on with things anyway. So even though we couldn't see Chris animating, we could certainly hear his brilliant advice, and that was what's most important. So great advice, well worth listening to. And we've got a final speaker who has certainly got some fantastic advice, some great experience that I'll bring on just shortly. He was the Director of Strategic Content for PlayStation Europe. He has been making games and helping others make games since 1982. So please join me in welcoming Shahid Ahmad. Shahid, hello.
How's it going?
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Great.
Thanks also for mentioning technical problems just before I go on.
I was getting them out of the way, so yours is going to be super slick. I'll leave everyone in your capable hands.
Thank you very much. So, as Colin mentioned, I started in 82. Yes, that's 1982. I started bunking off from school, taught myself to code, and released my first game. And I've been bunking off ever since. I worked for companies, large and small, as well as my own, and had a lot of ups and a few downs too. I'm a programmer, producer, coach, musician, podcaster, writer, and speaker. But simply, as Colin mentioned, I make games and I help games get made. Now, after 38 years in the video games industry, I think I know what works and what doesn't. So rather than tell you how to get into the industry, because you've had loads of amazing people tell you about all of that, I'm going to cover the 5 principles I think you will all need to navigate what looks like an increasingly chaotic future. Now, there's no formula for success. Please run a mile from anyone who tells you there is. But there's a lot you can learn about avoiding the most common mistakes, because I've made a ton of those, and having a more fulfilling life and career. Principle number 1, commit to lifelong learning. Yeah, I know, like being to school, university, but that's the world we live in now. So a lot of people talk about being themselves. Well, if you're young, yeah, but to be yourself, first you've got to become yourself. And to become yourself, you've got to drink deeply of life, as much as you can manage. Art, culture, science, philosophy, and more. What about purpose? Well, your purpose is going to emerge from love. What's the opposite of love? Most people say hate. But Eli Wiesel, Holocaust survivor, said the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. So it stands to reason that love is deep concern. So your purpose will emerge from a deep concern over things that interest you. And from that, your purpose will unfold. Other things that will help you when you are trying to take in all of life in the time that you have. Just in time, not just in case. What does that mean? Don't learn stuff just in case it might be useful. Learn stuff when you actually need it and go as deeply as you can, as quickly as you can. There's more content produced in a day than you can ever absorb in your entire life. Finally, on learning, use a system for organizing your knowledge so you can extract meaningful ideas. I write a newsletter, which I'll mention at the end. And tonight, I'm going to give you some ideas about how you can organize that knowledge so that ideas can emerge from it. Principle number 2, become emotionally intelligent. This is critical nowadays. We're in an era of tremendous flux where soft and transferable skills are absolutely key to survival. And to adapt successfully, we need to navigate this human landscape, even at a time of unprecedented isolation. Having a good attitude is a massive asset. And here's something interesting, incredibly useful skill for teamwork that you might want to learn is improv. One of the key ideas from improv is that you continue somebody else's line by saying yes and, right? If you think about when people tell each other jokes, if someone says no, that's it, end of discussion. That's also very bad for meetings, it's bad for teamwork. If you say yes and, you're building on stuff without necessarily destroying a person's confidence. So, principle number 3. By the way, I'm going to give you a bunch of references that you can draw on to learn all of these skills. The books that I recommend, the top 3 in every single area. Principle number 3 is develop discipline. So, what is discipline? Sounds harsh, right? It's not. Discipline is basically do what you need to do when you don't feel like doing it. Right? Everyone can do what they need to do when they feel like doing it. That's easy. But discipline is something you've got to do. You don't feel like doing it, but you do it. How? There's a little trick to this. Don't imagine the work you've got to do. Imagine how you'll feel when it's done. Somerset Maugham, a short story writer, one of the greats in the English language, as recommended to me by my late father, said very famously, I love this, I write only when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock sharp. What else about discipline? Well, in an age of distraction, focus is your superpower. If you can develop focus, you've got an immediate advantage over so many people. We are all distracted nowadays. So if you can develop your focus, you're onto a winner. Principle number 4, be resilient. To finish first you have to finish. And to finish, you have to be healthy. Healthy mentally, physically, and if you're into it like I am, spiritually, financially as well. I know it sounds a bit weird to say financially healthy, but just developing really good habits around money. I wish I'd done that. I've been a bit rubbish at that. Other areas are a little bit better. But there are a number of books you can read that will teach you about not just the importance of resilience, because I'm sure we'd all love to be more resilient, but how you can develop it. Here's something you can practice, like how you bounce back from something bad. For example, you've been told off by a boss, right? That sounds small, but it can feel big in the moment. It's happened to me. How do you bounce back from that? There are ways and techniques. Again, subscribe to my newsletter. Principle number 5, the most important thing of all. You've done all the other things, you developed yourself. How are you going to be useful? Principle number 5 is solve problems. You tend to be rewarded in direct proportion to the scale of the problems you solve. Problems are opportunities. If you can solve them, you'll become indispensable. I think I'm almost out of time. So finally, if you like some of these ideas, and even if you don't, you just found them a bit provocative and you want to have a go, please subscribe to my newsletter. Where is it? dancingmonkeys.substack.com. I'll be publishing the notes from this talk as well as all of the references so that you can start your deep dive into all of these different principles.
Great stuff. Well, so many comments from people saying how deep that was and how thoughtful. Thank you so much for taking the time to put that together. And one of the points that resonated most with me that I think I'll be able to regurgitate is the point about people being rewarded in proportion to the problem they solve. And I think that's a great way of looking at it. If people want an easy life, expect rewards accordingly.
Right.
And
what's the size of the problem that you're solving? What is the attitude you're bringing to the solution of that problem? My TV is telling me that's going to turn itself off. So I'm just going to click something and hope nothing bad happens. That seems to have worked.
You're still with us.
Yeah.
That's good.
You look at this. I mean, whatever your thoughts on Elon Musk, look at the scale of the problems he's trying to solve. Renewable energy and sustainable driving with electric cars. Whatever your views on him, the point is, why is he a billionaire? Because he's solving really, really big problems, or trying to solve really, really big problems. Yeah. Same with SpaceX, commercial space flight, going to Mars. And the interesting thing is, out of solving huge problems, the everyday things get easier as well. I mean, this pen here is a Mark I made out of, I know, some kind of very exotic metal. It's got a little image of the Apollo on it, Apollo 11. And look at all the things that came out of Apollo 11. They solved this huge problem, and a bunch of tiny things got invented as a result of solving that huge problem. But yeah, I mean, let's come back to our lives and video games. What kind of problems can you solve? Are you here to create problems? Are you here to solve problems? Hopefully you can do a bit of both. Because, one of the most annoying things that I've heard in management speak is, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. No, bring problems and solutions. Or bring problems and ideas. Because problems are opportunities, right? So if someone brings you a problem and says, you know what, here's a category that we're completely missing. We need to serve this audience. We're not doing it. That's a big problem. Whoa, that's a great problem. Hold on a minute. How much is that segment worth? 25 billion in the next year? Okay, what do we build to solve this problem, right?
Problem worth thinking about. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, those sorts of problems are the sort of things you were tackling at PlayStation, I guess. But you've been in the industry at virtually every level, from indie developer to that level. Currently, indie developer. What's some of the pros and cons of being involved at such vastly different levels?
So, the pros of being involved in a very large company is that if you are able to solve large problems, the large company gives you the scale of operation to actually address those problems. Because yes, I was able to do big things at PlayStation, but only because PlayStation was big. And therefore, with an enormous global team, things were made possible that wouldn't necessarily been possible if I was a single person. If I tried to do those things now, it would be way, way harder. I don't have that reach. I don't have the team. So that's a pro. The con is you have to convince a lot of people. You have to bring on board a lot of stakeholders. And the con of that is not that you got to go through the process. It's necessary. The con of that is sometimes it can take so long that you miss the opportunity. So timing is a key skill. The pro of being an independent developer is I own my calendar. I do what I want to do when I want to do it, which when you have a family is incredibly important. I prioritize that. I mean, I left the best gig in the world. It's the best gig in video games. I helped to build that gig. I helped to build the profile, but I left it because what was more important to me was the priority of being with my family. And being able to own your diary is massively important. The con is, well, you don't have a regular paycheck. So when things get bumpy, you've only yourself to fall back on. But if you've got enough behind you, if you've got enough experience, if you have enough contacts, if your reputation is good, and hopefully you've worked many years to develop that, then that can be not the downside that you first imagined.
Great. No, that sums it up very nicely. Given that you're in control of your calendar and you can choose how to spend your time, we're so grateful that you've chosen to spend 10 minutes of it with us tonight, this evening, Shahid. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Great. And someone, just quickly, I saw someone asking about your podcast as well as your newsletter. Where do people find your podcast?
I podcast at Relay FM. The show is called Remaster.
Perfect.
Happy to share the link with you privately so you can put it on the Discord if you like.
Sounds great. Fab. Thank you again. Cheers, Shahid.
Pleasure.
Bye. Okay, that's the end of our speakers. It's been an exhausting hour and 3/4 of literally some of the best and brightest organizations in games in the UK today. So I hope everyone's learned a lot. I hope everyone's got lots to think about and to follow up on. The colleges and universities are still in the Discord, so jump on the Discord at discord.gamesjobs.live. I know it's been a bit messy in there. This is the first time we've done something at this scale. It's been a little bit noisier than usual. But if you've registered, you will be getting an email from the Eventbrite with details to follow up with all the universities directly. So please do speak to them. They've got open days. They've given you their email. You can just follow up and chat to them. So all it leaves for me to say is that I hope to see many of you in the games industry one day. I run the Games Jobs Live events, helping people find jobs in the industry. So I hope to see some of you on another stream looking for your first job. I'd like to thank all the companies that have taken part today, particularly Abertay University, Escape Studios, and Wrexham Glyndwr University for sponsoring today and making it possible. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and there'll be more content in due course. As a reminder, companies are on the Discord for the next 10 minutes. It's discord.gamesjobs.live. Get on there and chat to them. And all the very best. Good night.